book haul at the Pulp Adventure Con in Bordentown, New Jersey. This is yesterday, November 7th, November 6th, 2021.
Today
and
is
I'm Gary
November
Lovisi,
7th.
and we're going to take a look at a few of the books that I bought. Amazingly enough, when I go to a book show, I actually can buy a book or two. I find one or two here or there, and you can see this is a few of the books that I found. There's actually some others, and my wife just sighed. But we had a great time. It was a great show. Audrey Parente and Rich Harvey do a terrific job. The show was very well attended. There were two surprise guests that I want to mention. I mentioned before, who are great writers, and Thomas F. Monteleone, a science fiction writer, and of course F. Paul Wilson, who's a good friend and a great guy, and he's written tremendous amounts of horror and science fiction books. Two great, well-known writers. So they were there. A lot of people were there. People were buying and selling and having a great time. It was a busy day, and as you'll see some from the previous videos. But now I'm going to show you some of the things that I bought today. Without further ado,
You bought them yesterday.
bought yesterday. Yes, that's true. So what I want to do is, first I just want to mention one book that's a little special, something nice. It's Tommy on Green Hills, and this is by a 9-year-old boy. This is published by Bold Venture Press, and it's by Peter David Parente, and it's a book about Thanksgiving for children. It's a children's book. It's a really nice book, and here's a picture of the author, the young author, on the back cover. So I just wanted, and it's a Bold Venture Press book. So I just wanted to highlight that because it's a really kind of a nice...
It's a great story.
It's a great story, and it's a sweet thing for them to do at Bold Venture Press. And I also want to mention the artwork of Daniel Horn. Daniel is a terrific, well-known artist who's done work for many years, and this is his scrapbook, which is volume one. Sketchbook, sorry. And, of course, it has sketches in it of his work. He's done hundreds of paintings, a lot of paperback paintings.
Action figures also.
And action figures.
Prototypes he sculpts.
Oh, yes. And as you can see, he's really just terrific. Just to give you an idea of some of his work. So that's one of the things that I got. And now we're going to talk about some other items. I like pulp magazines, and I bought a few. I found an April 1935 edition of Spy Novels magazine, which is a pulp, and it's got great stories in it. It's a very delicate book. These pulps are so delicate. I like Weird Tales. I found a few of the digest size Weird Tales. This is from May 1954. Really nice cover art. This is January 54. And this is from November 53. It originally was a pulp size magazine, which I'm going to show you a few, and then it became a digest. This is the January 52 issue of Weird Tales with The Black Island by August Derleth, and it's Weird Tales. Let's get Weird Tales. The Black Island by August Derleth. Weird Tales is the preeminent horror pulp magazine. This is one from, I believe, January 1950. I'm not sure, actually, I can't read it. The next one is, some of these the spines are quite a bit faded on some of them. July 1948.
Also helps if you put your glasses on.
I think I'm going to put my glasses on. And
that's a good idea.
here? I don't know. I just heard that idea. March 49 were stories by August Derleth and Theodore Sturgeon, and Theodore Sturgeon was in a previous one, the one under here, also. So he was writing for Weird Tales in the 40s and 50s. I have a couple of shadows. This is June 15, 1938. Shadow Pulp. This is December 15th, 1935. Shadow. Really, really great stuff. And here's a nice big fat, you can see by the spine of this, Amazing Stories from June 1948. It's about an inch thick. It gives you, it was 276 pages, 25 cents. You got a lot for the money. All these pulp pages. But you got some stories by William P. McGivern and by Howard Brown, many other famous science fiction writers. It is a big, thick, juicy pulp. It's very nice. I'm going to move these over. And
we're looking at nothing.
And we're looking at nothing, but not for long. Not for long. Be patient. Murder in the Vestry by Maud Crosley, which is a Mellifont Press, British mystery paperback. 3d. Now we've got some interesting ones. Sexton Blake. These are from the latest series. These are from this is number 519 from the 60s. Sexton Blake was a private eye who investigated crime in these British digests, slim digests, usually 64 pages. He has Murder in Camera. This is number 74, The Man Who Wouldn't Quit by Gilbert Chester. And they'll have Sexton Blake Library. And he had a group of Confederates who helped him solve his crimes. He was based early on Sherlock Holmes, and then later on became more hard-boiled. And ran for a long time. He ran for almost 100 years. This is number 73, Bard from the West End. This is The Violent Hours by Peter Saxton. It takes place in Tangiers. This is The Frightened People, number 418 by Jack Trevor Story, and it's an atomic weapons story, and it's a great green girl cover.
They always have those rusted staple marks.
Yeah, they use the cheap staples, and the staples rusted, and it's just that's just the way it was with these books. They were cheap. They were made to be thrown out, and a lot of them were, and that's why there's not that many of them still around. Sexton Blake Library, number 401, Collapse of Stout Party by Jack Trevor Story. Again. Here we have another group of some British slim digest, 64 page. These are from the 50s and 60s. I bought some new books because there's a lot of good new stuff coming out, and I wanted to check some of that. And I bought them from Mike Chomko, who always is a great source for these new books that have come out. So one book that I was missing is The Manhunt Companion by Peter Infantino and Jeff Vorzimer. And it's a complete issue guide to Manhunt magazine from 53 to 67. And this is it. Beautiful trade paperback from Stark House Press. Reference invaluable for anybody who is interested in manhunt or collecting them. And it has all just loaded with information, photos, and material on all things manhunt and all the issues. Flame and Crimson is a book I haven't really haven't really read yet or dipped into, but it's The History of Sword and Sorcery by Brian Murphy, and that is a Pulp Hero Press book. And I love Sword and Sorcery. I love Robert E. Howard stories, the Elac of Atlantis stories by Henry Kuttner, which I published years ago, the Elric of Melbourne stories, all of that great stuff. And it's also Sword and Sorcery. And this is a book that's all about all the different heroes and the series and the characters, and should be very, very interesting. In line with that is the new book, Elac, King of Atlantis, and this is by Pulp Hero Press, and it's by Adrian Cole, and it contains 5 stories of Elac of Atlantis. Now, I was the first person under Gryphon Books to publish Elac of Atlantis, the Henry Kuttner stories that were from Strange Tales. And I collected those stories into a book. That was the first time that was printed, and was reprinted by another publisher years ago. But this is a continuation. These are new stories, Elac, King of Atlantis. And the Elac stories by Kuttner are really, really good. They're very close to Conan, and really a joy to read. And Adrian Cole is a British science fiction fantasy author of renown who's been around for a long time, and he would be the person that I would expect. When I saw this, I says, oh no, Elac, King of Atlantis, somebody wrote a continuation of Elac stories. But then when I saw that it was by Adrian Cole, I said, I got to get that book because Adrian Cole is good. And that's the truth about it. Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective by Airship 27 Productions. They do beautiful trade paperbacks. They have a whole series of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, which has 4 new mysteries in each one. I was published in one of the recent ones with a story of mine, and these two, number 16 and 17, have 4 new stories. That's number 16, and this is number 17, Airship 27, and it's a great series. They all have feature artwork. Each story is illustrated with usually three or four illustrations, black and white illustrations, and it's 4 stories per book, and they're really good. I was able to meet some newer authors, and a couple of guys that I spent some time with. Enjoyed talking to them at the show, and one of them is Teal James Glenn, who wrote the Cowboy in Carpathia, and this is a Robert E. Howard story. He's the character in this story, the main character, and this is basically how we all know that the story of Robert E. Howard, who committed suicide in 1936 at the age of 30 years old. So damn young, and so much left to accomplish. Well, Glenn has written a book that has Howard not committing suicide and living, had he lived, what his life would have been like. He is a Howard enthusiast, and I'm looking forward to reading this. I think this could be really, really good. It won an award in the Pulp Community Press, and I think this would be a really cool book. Another book that I bought, and also Glenn signed this for me, which is very nice. Somewhere, yes, he signed it. Another book as good as Wayne Carey, who has done a lot of nice adventure and historical adventure books and fantasy novels. And I did review one of his books a while back, and this one is the first book in his Alan Quatermain new adventures, The Beast Men. And that's from Airship 2027. And that's by Wayne Carey. So there's some nice books, new books, old books. Some other things that I picked up. I picked up a few Worlds of If science fiction magazines. You can see they're all from the late 60s, 67, 68, 69. Nice condition. And I'm just going to go through a few of them. This is December 69, and it has Gordon Dixon's Ancient My Enemy, Barry Malzberg, John Brunner, Norman Spinrad, Keith Olamore, and Lester Del Rey. Can't get a better lineup than that. It's Worlds of Tomorrow, and If was combined with Worlds of Tomorrow. This is the June 68 issue. It has Rogue Star by Jack Williamson, Frederick Paul, A. Bertrand Chandler, Samuel R. Delaney, many more, with a Vaughn Bode cover. Another Vaughn Bode cover is on Worlds of If for April 1968. A. Bertram Chandler, Robert Silverberg, and John Brunner. I mean, that's a great lineup of classic heavyweight science fiction authors. The October 68 issue, Samuel R. Delaney, Harry Harrison, A.E. Van Voigt, The Proxy Intelligence. Another cover by Vaughn Bode for the February 69 issue contains Harry Harrison, James Gunn, and many others. Vaughn Bode cover. I love his work. September 68, stories by Hal Clement and many others. Very nice cover. The January 69 issue has William F. Temple and Roger Zelazny, among others. And the last one is the June 71 issue, Fallen Spacemen by Lee Harding, and The Fabulous Riverboat, the first Riverworld, one of the Riverworld novels by Philip Jose Farmer. So there you have some new books and some new books and some old ones.
And some damaged
And
ones.
some damaged ones that fell. And now we're going to look through another pile, if you don't mind. I hope you are patient and
You talking
are
to me?
interested. Talking to you, talking to everybody who's listening. Here's what we're going to look at some new books. Not new books, these are actually 20 and 30 years old. Cap Kennedy, number 13, by A World of Flame by Gregory Kern. This is actually written by, this is a Dorr book. It's from the 70s, and it's actually written by Ted Tubb. And it's Cap Kennedy is kind of like a Captain Future. This is number 13 in the series. I believe there's probably about 26 in the series. Next one is also another Dorr book, The Mind Behind the Eye, Joseph Green, 1972. This is Dorr number 2. That's number 2 in the series. Shadows of the Sun by Chad Oliver, Ballantine paperback. It's a Bal High paperback. Chad Oliver is an excellent science fiction writer. This is a Lancer book, 2 novels of the Antimatter series in 1 volume, CT Ship and CT Shock by Jack Williamson. Beautiful, beautiful. Nice copy. This book usually gets pretty beat up, and this is not a bad condition copy for this thick, 1-inch thick vintage paperback. Ballantine 159, The Human Angle by William Tenn, another classic. Pyramid Books, The Dreaming Earth by John Brunner with a John Schoenherr cover. Dell Science Fiction, Fireship by Joan Vinge. Door number 43, Collision Course by Barrington J. Bailey, British author. Frostflower and Windborne by Phyllis Ann Carr, Berkeley Fantasy. This is book 2 of the Legacy trilogy, Battle Space by Ian Douglas. These are what you call military science fiction, and some of them are really, really exciting, really fun to read. The Magic of Camelot, Arthur H. Landis. This is door number 437. Has a very, very good series, very well regarded series. And we have The Trees of Zakara by Nancy McEnroth, Popular Library. We have The Way Back by A. Bertram Chandler, door number 273. These are his Commodore Grimes novels, and these are really good too. Good space opera, very exciting adventure. We have an ace book, Stephen Amesbury's The Biofab War. We have Gary Gentile, No Future for Dragons, an ace book. We have The Silver Crown by Joel Rosenberg, signet book. We have The Castaways of Tanagar by Ryan Stapleford, which is door 428, and it has a H.R. Van Dongen cover. We have Mayeen, a Dumerous novel by E.C. Tubb. This is door number 54, the early door. We have The Mote in God's Eye by Larry Niven and Jerry Pournelle. Classic, great book. We have Castle for Rent by John D. Chansey, which is an ace book with a James Gurney cover. Another Brian M. Stapleford book, The Fenris Device, door number 130, and I believe, yes, it has a Kelly Freas cover. And we have Edmund Cooper, Transit, a 60s Lancer book. Edmund Cooper is a very underrated author. Now we're going to look through a few more piles, show you a few other things. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I'm enjoying showing you. I like to show books to people and turn them on to new books, and here's one that I want to turn you on to, which I talked about previously, and that's Who Goes Here by Bob Shaw. Bob Shaw is a terrific science fiction writer, British, and I believe he's passed away. I'm not sure. I don't think he's writing anymore, but his works in the 60s and 70s and 80s were just excellent, and this is a great book. It's not Who Goes There, which is the John W. Campbell story of The Thing. It's Who Goes Here, and it's a story of War and Peace, who joins the Space Legion and ends up getting into all kinds of unbelievable adventures, which are just, it's a really funny book and a really smart, witty book, and really cool to read. The Lights of Zatar, Balzan of the Cat People. This is number 3. This is a series of books like a Tarzan on another planet. And interestingly enough, in a previous video I mentioned the books by Charles Saunders, which were mentioned the Tarzan in the cover blurb, and the books had to be recalled, and then a new cover put on where they took off Tarzan from the front and back cover. But this one somehow got through, and Edgar Rice Burroughs Incorporated or whoever was had the rights at that time. Maybe they never saw this and whatever, but they didn't do anything about it. And this is number 3 in the series. But since the series only lasted 3 or 4 books, maybe they did eventually find out about it and they stopped it. So who knows? This is not a science fiction per se. It's The Siege of Harlem by Warren Miller, and it's an interesting book. It's kind of an alternate history. What would happen if Harlem seceded from the Union? and became its own country. And it's kind of a black nationalist and interesting alternate world, alternate history kind of story. Very bordering on science fiction. Bard 2 by Keith Taylor. It's an ace book. 10 Years to Doomsday by Chester Anderson and Michael Curlin is a pyramid paperback original. Great fun story. This is from the 60s. That cover is by Ed Emsch. Two Rode Together is by Will Cook. It's a Bantam Western. And this was based on the movie by Jimmy Stewart and Richard Widmark, or with them. Two by F. Van Wyck Mason. He's a really very good historical novelist and thriller writer, and he has his Colonel Hugh North is America's #1 secret agent. It's kind of a pre-James Bond, and the first one is Pocketbook 1115, and it's 2 Tickets for Tangier. These are from the 50s. This is from the 50s, and the other one is the China Sea Murders, which is 1219, and it was originally the Shanghai Bund Murders years before, previous title. Paperback library, Beyond the Sealed World by Rena Vale. Walpurgis 3, Signet book by Mike Resnick. I still like Mike Resnick's Ganymede books. He wrote 2 books in that series based on John Carter of Mars, kind of his hero being on the planet, Jupiter planet, Ganymede, and those are really, really good books. I enjoy them a lot. Time Scout is by Robert Asprin and Linda Evans. That's a Baen book. Some like these new books. There's some new books, nice new books out. Tanya Huff is a pretty good writer. She does some good stuff, and her Fifth Quarter is one of hers. It's a Door book. And the only thing that, unfortunately, about this is you see the Door logo, and they have the number, which you can make. They tried to make it like microscopic. They don't have the yellow spines anymore. They're trying to make them just look like every other book. And I really don't like that. I wish that they had kept it the same way. This is book number. So these more recent books. This is from 1995. This is book 995. So this is five short of book number 1000 for Door, and they've since have gone way over that. Really, really good cover art, but also like a really great book. Born Under Mars, ace book by John Brunner. I like John Brunner's work. He always delivers, even in his early ace doubles science fiction. Always great stuff. The next one is Tom Paine Maru by L. Neil Smith. It's a Del Rey book. This is libertarian science fiction at its best. Really good material. Good writer. The next one is a Lancer book from Avalanche. Is a Lancer book from 1967, 1 Million Centuries. This is by Richard A. Lupoff. This is his first book, his first fiction novel. Next one is The Path Beyond the Stars by Emil Pitaja. He was a Finnish science fiction writer in Finland, and wrote for many years and some really good stuff. Next one is Backblast by Lee McKeon, a Popular Library Questar science fiction book. And the next is The Return of Caven by David Mason, another Lancer book. The 97th Step by Steve Perry, Ace Science Fiction, military science fiction. Another Door, number 135, The Warriors of Dawn by M.A. Foster. And you see the old yellow spine door books with the door number here. I mean, they're really cool to collect. And I don't know why it really bugs me that they changed that format. Trying to, I guess, update things, but sometimes, it's not good to update stuff. It's just keep things the way they are if they're working really good. Another one, the next book is Berkeley Science Fiction by Richard A. Lupoff, Sun's End.
It's almost like a brand, or at this point, or
They all look alike. The recent ones.
no,
Yeah.
I mean the yellow spine. It's almost like their brand.
Right.
They dumped their brand.
Yeah, that's what made their books unique and collectible. And you see all those yellow spine doors on the shelf. They look beautiful, and they're very eye-catching. Next one is Kill Ratio by Janet Morris and David Drake. They do a lot of really nice military science fiction novels. And another good one in that area is Christopher Rowley's book, The War for Eternity, and it's a Del Rey paperback original. Well, folks, we're getting to the end. I'm going to move these out of the way. And
The stack.
put this stack over here. And we're going to look at more books, which is what people like to do. So we're going to start off with an old Avon, early Avon, number 46, Agatha Christie, Death on the Nile. Really, really nice copy of that. The next one is a pocketbook, Killers Directed by Ellery Queen. This is a paperback original from, I believe, 1963. This was written by science fiction author Jack Vance and is an original novel by him. So that's very collectible because of that reason. Also, aside from being an Ellery Queen novel. Next one is a Door book, and it's the year's Best Horror Stories Series 12, edited by Carl Edward Wagner. Move these over here. Another one that I picked up is the 20th Pan Book of Horror Stories, selected by Herbert Van Dahl. This is the 20th in that series, and it ran for quite a while. Some of the best horror fiction published is collected in those books. A really, really great book, Dell First Edition, The Long Ride by James McKinney. Hardboiled crime novel. Nice, really nice Bob Abbott cover art. And this guy's good, James McKinney. Another horror book. This is a British Sphere book. It's from the Dennis Wheatley Library of the Cult, volume number 32. And it's Dark Ways to Death by Peter Saxon. Horror, supernatural, terror. Historical novels I like, and novels of ancient Rome, and this is a novel of gladiators and sea battles during the time of the Roman Empire. It's The Pirate from Rome by John V.D. Southworth, and it's a pocket book, kind of a scarce book to find in nice condition. It's Roman gladiators and legionnaires on the sea, because they did use the Roman Navy had legion soldiers that fought from ship to ship in those days. A fun series of sexy, sleazy, campy paperbacks, spy books is The Coxman, Coxeman, and this is book number 5 and 6. They all have campy titles. They were by Troy Conway. A lot of them were written by, if not all of them, by Mike Avallone. And book number 5 is It's Getting Harder All the Time. Kind of a play on the Beatles. in a different way. And number 6 is Come One, Come All. The Coxman, number 5 and 6. Newsstand Library is a early Canadian paperback publisher, and they published a lot of different kind of stuff, mysteries, sleaze, westerns. This is number 25 in their series from 1950, and it's the Penthouse Killings by Horace Brown. These are usually pretty scarce, these Newsstand Library Canadian books, and the ones in the dust jackets are rare. Another one, She Loved Her Work by Jack Hanley, and then the title is Strip Street. It's a Berkeley book. Strip Street, She Loved Her Work. It's always good when people enjoy their job.
Never seen that one before.
You seen that one before?
Never.
Never seen that before?
Never seen that before.
Yeah, I think you've seen it before. Yeah. Early Penguin books are really nice. This one's not in such great condition, but I bought it because I didn't know if I had it or not, and it turned out that I did. But they're so tough to come by sometimes. It's short Penguins. This is number 552 from the 40s. It's Murder in Trinidad. A little worn for wear, but still a nice book. One really nice one is Monarch 364, Wild to Possess by Gil Brewer, with a stunning Robert Maguire cover. And 364, I believe this might be the second printing. The first printing has the same cover but a different number, so I believe that's the second printing. Eaton Books was a offshoot of Avon Books, and they published a bunch of crime books and sleaze books and westerns, and even nonfiction. This one is one of the best. I'll Bring Her Back. It's an espionage crime novel by Peter Chaney. Hard-boiled crime, great cover art, good girl cover art. Richard Matheson, classic book, and a classic cover. The Shrinking Man, fighting the giant black widow spider. Terrific cover art. And speaking of spiders, the spider was a pulp hero, and he was reprinted in paperback here, but also in the United Kingdom under Muse Books. And this is Spider book number 1, Death Reign of the Vampire King, and they had these interesting cover art on these British paperbacks. The Phantom Detective was a classic pulp crime fighter, and we have a few of them here. These are all from Regency Suspense. There was they were all by Robert Wallace, and there was about I think about 20 or so in the series. And one of them, some of the ones we have, is The Tycoon of Crime, and they're all cover art by Robert Bonfils. Yellow Shadows of Death. The grinning ghoul with the guy with the knife and the woman. Next one is The Uniformed Killers. Motorcycle cop running down a terrified woman. Next one is number 16, Death Glow. And the last of these, Phantom Detective, is The Melody Murders. I wrote a Phantom Detective original short story for Airship 27, one of their books. But Phantom Detective is a pretty cool character. And he lasted a long time in the pulps. Next one is Rack number 2, War on Elf, by Lawrence James, science fiction. Lawrence James was a editor at Nell, and also a writer, terrific writer and a great guy, who I had a little bit of contact with in the 80s, and great guy, and he was a great writer. This Hard Case Crime Number 18, Say It With Bullets by Richard Powell. First publication in 50 years. This is a reprint of the original graphic book that was published in the 50s, and it's still a good read. And the last one is The Fugitive Worlds by Bob Shaw. Again, Bob Shaw is somebody I recommend highly for people who like to read good science fiction. It's really interesting. Well, somebody asked me, they said, I want to see what you got yesterday at the book show. So I says, okay, they're asking, so let me show them. So this is what I got. It's most of what I got at the show. Had a great time yesterday. I want to thank Audrey and Rich for being so generous with their time, and everybody there, all the dealers and the people that stopped by the Gryphon Books table, and said hello to Lucille and me, and looked at bought Paperback Parade. And what?
We met Chris. He came with his friend.
Oh, yeah,
Jim.
we met Chris, and he came with his friend Jim, and quite a few people from this YouTube channel were at the show, and that was great to meet them and to talk a little bit with them and stuff. So spend some time. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, because if you subscribe, you'll get not only notices of new videos coming out, but you'll also be able to access all the other videos that we've done. And we've done over 200. And no matter who you are, there's got to be a subject, book-wise, or an author or artist or publisher or something that you'll be interested in. So subscribe, give us a thumbs up and a like, share with friends, and we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot for looking.